The first step to any good poetry set, as you know, is to fight with the mic stand.
You won!
So yeah, as Victoria mentioned, my name is Javelin. I do use they, them pronouns, like they are the person with the blue hair, or they have cool glasses, or whatever. My gender is, they call it non-binary. It's just kind of symbolic of the fact that I don't really fit into society a lot of times. And the change in pronouns is just kind of a way to change the language so that the world can try to include me. So I have a poem about that, because sometimes people don't understand or they're not willing to do that. And it gets hard sometimes when you're the only person that seems to remember this. I get brainwashed whenever I walk out my front door. Strangers stare at me as soon as I leave, glances from across the street, lacking in stealth and with unclear, ominous intent. There's a desire to gawk at the spectacle. In fitting me into a box of us or them, a new category is made. Strange. Only female and male are recognized, two rigid genders that leave no room for me. I often have to pretend my gender is a secret, an ancient prophecy passed down through generations whose moment of revelation has not yet come. I want to proclaim my gender so loudly you could feel what I feel in the vibrations, but instead I look down at the sorted paperwork and check the third box of 3, prefer not to disclose. Clothing is a great way to express yourself, or perhaps only to hide away your inconfidence. But in the store, I only see 2 dusty deserts. On either side, I feel out of place, scavenging desperately for anything of use. I think the government has me confused for someone else. My ID, it has a picture of someone I barely remember, like a high school friend whom you drifted away from, connected now only by coincidence. It has a name that isn't mine, and off to the side a capital letter M. But it's not only the government that's mistaken. Is it more likely that no one sees me for who I am, or that I'm only pretending to be someone else? One night on the radio, they played a clip of protesters. How many genders are there, one of them would cry. Every time the impassioned reply, 2. I had to turn the radio off, but the damage was already done, that chant still echoes around in my head. I am the person with the curly hair, the person with the creature name, the person whose body is neither fully feminine nor quite masculine. I am them. No one sees the person who I am. There's actually like many points in my life where I don't really fit into boxes and I just have kind of doubled down on it many times. Like, I don't know, it's like, do you want to have like long hair or short hair? And I'm like, I could do both at the same time. And also like with my poetry is kind of my my like night job, I guess. During the day, I'm a student training in phlebotomy, which is to stabbing people with needles to get their blood. But in university, I also studied mathematics, so I have a very weird background of academic stuff. So this one is it's also about not fitting into boxes, but more how not fitting boxes into the dating scene. Usually when there's something where it's this great like systemic thing that I want to talk about, I usually make it into a horror poem, because I feel like horror is the best way to address something without having to talk about it in a very boring, dry way. So this is one of my horror poems. Some time ago you met someone, made a conversation perhaps, or maybe you only locked eyes like two falling autumn leaves, each weaving between the other, before being parted by the cold, brisk stride of your lives. I'm sorry to inform you, but that person was your soulmate, the one person in this world whom you could love and be happy with. Your paths won't cross again in the future. The trail markers have already been removed. You'd get lost if you tried. But come here, watch with me. I like to look at those passing by, breaking off into pairs and boarding the machine together. They call it the relationship escalator, an unfeeling, whirring mass of gears and metal slats that dictates the course our relationships should follow. Contact, infatuation, ownership, marriage, coverture, death. That is the path our lives must take. But not your life, of course. You've been mathematically barred from this revered social experience. But don't forget, I'm here too. It's called the relationship escalator because, like escalators themselves, they aren't very accessible, intent on leaving arbitrarily chosen groups below. The people already on the escalator, they are an open field of long, unkept grass with a maze of landmines buried beneath, always watching, patiently waiting for a missed step. If you know the pattern, it's easy to find your way through, but with too many things labeling me as strange, it wouldn't be long before I'd hear a metallic click beneath my feet. Then found out as an imposter, they'd throw me off the escalator to the hard cement below. I've never actually had the misfortune of feeling the pavement rush up to meet me. The fear of that kind of hurt alone is enough to scare me off. If any definition of love makes some unlovable, is it not a definition of hate? But I was only joking earlier about your soulmate. I'm sure you'll meet them properly sometime before you die. And then you can both board the escalator together. If you ever find out, let me know what's up at the top. So because one of our team members, Janelle, wasn't able to make it today because she is taking care of her dog right now, I thought I would share a dog story. My dog is, his name is Cern. He is a greyhound, a retired racing greyhound. So he was from like an underground racing ring, so he wasn't taken very well care of. I've had to do a bit of work with him to make sure that he's doing okay. He has like anxiety problems and stuff, has some health issues. But he's one of the most gentle dogs I've ever known. He just usually sleeps most of the time. He's more of a cat than a dog, which I find funny. Yeah, so I find it interesting that sometimes the most important people in our lives can be animals. It's a very interesting connection. Unfortunately, I do not have a dog poem with me, but this next poem I had written for Science Poetry had this, like they called it a secret Santa, where what they did was you'd all write poems and you'd send them in, and then they would mix them up, and then you'd read someone else's poem. So I thought I'd write something very like experimental and weird. It's about a thing I don't even know what it's about. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough people for the Secret Santa, so I had to end up reading it myself, which was a nice surprise. But yeah, if you know what this is about or you have a guess, I would love to hear your opinion if you have it. Also, one thing that they do at the slam scene is when you go up on stage, you read your poem, and sometimes the slam poets will just walk off the stage. that there's no like thank you or goodbye or anything. You just walk off the stage as sort of some dramatic effect. So I'm going to do that to sort of bring some of the slam vibe in here. It smells sweet, of warmth and soft, so very delicate like the wispy wings of moths, but it has a better bitter taste. The thick stench of molasses is far too raw. It pulses slowly through my veins, clogging my senses, and with them, their important message. It feels right, like the crunch of leaves at the height of fall. This is how things should be, but there's so much loss around. I want to wrap the sky up in a blanket, blot out the sun and hide from icy squalls. But it doesn't make me want to be alone. I want to be alive with the warmth of another's body, but the heat, I'm worried it will burn me. I want to look into the dark chasm I keep beside my bed and see in it an old familiar friend. Averted eyes and careful strides do not entail comfort. So desperation and pleading eyes are the acquaintances I keep. In the dark of night, I hear a song sometimes carried by the wind from a distant place, a ballad in minor key, but it has a sweetness, the same sweetness that graces the space in my chest, a lilting melody I strain to hear, but always it fades. Like the longing for a loved one who just recently passed, my emotions are searching for something, but they speak in a foreign language that I do not have a dictionary for. We jabber back and forth with overpronounced vowels and onomatopoeic sounds, but neither of us can make the other understand. I want to know what it is that will make you happy, make me happy. I will keep listening to you, but please, for now, be patient.